Welcome. Welcome to Hmm, that didn't go so well. Welcome to Love Morning. I'm John, and this is a daily practice of gratitude and of remembering our role as love ambassadors. And sometimes I start the day with some musicality. The words are new to me, so's the melody. And if we just listen to our heart, I'll know where to begin, where to start. Because we share some gratitude, it lifts our attitude, and that's what we do here on the morning. Good morning. What are you grateful for today? What are you feeling grateful for? Good morning, Gerbot. Good morning to you. I'm wearing my Grandpa Caleb It's a Beautiful Glass top. It says float more, steer less on the arms, love more, fear less. And on the back it says It's a Beautiful Glass. Little Grandpa Caleb here. Good morning, Razor Blade. I'm feeling grateful that Lisa is coming home this afternoon after being away for a week. And I am looking forward to having some time with her. I'm looking forward to and grateful that I get to record an episode of Stay Sparked today, which means I get to hang out with Giannis and Betsy. We, I think, took 2 weeks off because of travel. So looking forward to seeing them. I'm looking forward to and grateful that I've got a session with a couple of friends and AI productivity consultants to kind of brainstorm about where I might want to head and how I might use tools and systems to make my workflow better, which is a hard thing for me at this time because I'm not exactly sure what I want to be doing next, but I figured might as well move forward anyways. And I'm grateful that I have a men's group tonight, and I am in charge of leading it. It's a men's group that I don't lead, but we are now kind of rotating who leads the meeting. And so I'm grateful that I get to run it how I want and with whatever kind of theme and topic. So guess what I'm going to be talking about and asking us to talk about. If you said gratitude, give yourself 5 points. I'm also grateful for modern dentistry. Went to see my dentist yesterday and had the final 2 quadrants of my mouth filled with sealant for where I've grind down my enamel on my molars. So I'm feeling this was the completion of a long process, and I'm feeling very grateful that it is over, and grateful that if I wear my guard and take care of my teeth, I should have them for a very long time. Good morning, Perfect Republic. Well done with your 5 points. Good morning. Good morning, Juan. Good morning. And good morning, Christopher. Christopher says, I am grateful to see spring buds and blossoms pop up in front of me every day now. Like that. Great. Christopher, I just put something in the mail for you, and I have to apologize because I used an old piece of luggage when I visited Amy and Asher. And in that luggage was a letter for you that Amy wrote as a thank you, I believe, when you had offered to help out years ago. And it's been in the luggage ever since. And I was supposed to drop it in the mail years ago. So I just dropped it in the mail. I don't know what's inside it, but just so you know, Amy doesn't know that I forgot to send it unless she's here today. So you're just so you understand what happens with that mail that you're going to get in a few days. I apologize to you and to Amy. Good morning, Rob. Razorblade says, I am grateful for my warm bed on this cool night and morning. Bring on winter. Awesome. I love thinking of you on the other side of the world enjoying your climate. Good morning, Nika. Good morning, Joyous. Mike, good morning. Good morning. Anyone else have anything that they're feeling grateful for? I am grateful for my friend Steven, who has been helping with repairs at my parents' beach condo. Lots of, a lot of things about modern construction, modern everything it's not high quality. Things are not made to last. There's this like cheap particle boardy kind of stuff that they use for everything now, and it looks awesome right when you put it in, and it's just not sturdy, and gets water damaged, and it too much, breaks way easier than solid wood. And it's surprising, this thought this was a high-end remodel, but there's a bunch of things that don't work. So I'm grateful for his help in fixing and diagnosing things. Good morning, Gerbot. Gerbot is grateful for his body's ability to heal itself, recovering from some minor shoulder and neck pain. Heal well. I am grateful for, I had a body work and therapy session yesterday with my therapist, and I came in because I was saying that I had like a twingy thing in my shoulder blade that was kind of like, it's the beginning of the pain that turned into my really bad neck thing in December, January. And as soon as I felt a twinge of it, I was like, it was hard not to just panic. So I just stopped using the computer. I stopped, I started icing it. I did traction. And over the next 24 hours, it really subsided, went away. And I told her it went away. And she said, I think a better word to use would be it's dormant. So let's do some work on it while it's dormant. And I like that idea of, it's not like gone and it comes back. It's gone. It's dormant. And so I need to live as if I understand that there's a dormant injury there, instead of feeling like it's gone. So I'm appreciative and grateful for that. Dash says, panic. I know that feeling. Yeah. And I mean, that was a huge part of the lessons and the challenges when I had the pain in December, January, was don't future trip, because there's pain and there's suffering. There's pain, which is the actual sensation that you're having. The suffering is the stories around it that cause you to really, have thoughts that make your situation worse. It's the insult to injury. The insult, though, is not to someone else or it being insulted. It is the thoughts that torture you in your mind more so than the actual physical sensation. And that is, when your story starts to go, oh my gosh, this is the way it's going to be from now on. Oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. Oh my gosh, now every time I do blank, it's going to be like blank. And that struggle is real. Mike says, I am grateful for the opportunity to go to my dad's grave 1 year and 4 weeks sober today on the 11th anniversary of his death. Feels good. 1 year and 4 weeks. Awesome. I just checked. I think I'm 1 year, 8 weeks. So high five to us. Awesome. And how nice to honor your lineage and your dad and yourself. Well done, Mike. Speaking of sobriety, and I hope that if you're tuning in frequently, I don't have to say every time. When I say sobriety, I mean, for me, the removal of intoxicants, ketamine, GHB, and alcohol. I also am not doing cannabis, but that's not on my list of like, I haven't done it in that time, but potentially I might do cannabis sometime in the future. Plant medicines and psychedelics are not on my lists of prohibited substances. For me, and this is actually, I think, why cannabis would stay in my prohibited prohibited. Like my list of no is psychedelics for me are not daily activities, whereas cannabis can be a daily thing. And my big challenge is falling into patterns of soothing, um, you know, and escaping, soothing on a daily basis. And I find that psychedelics can be um, occasional use and healing and helpful. So I'm fine. So when I say sobriety, that being said, I've had several people in the last few weeks that have reached out and shared this really beautiful appreciation for my public sharing. And it really makes me feel like, okay, that's been the right thing to do. Because I was uncertain. And even, initially when I said sobriety, I said intoxicants. I didn't mention ketamine. And, but I've had people, someone told me, they said, thank you for going first. Somebody who's now given up ketamine. And someone else uh, who's got off alcohol is saying, thank you so much for inspiring me. And I really feel that that's it. In some ways, it's on brand for me. I've always tried to share my journey and my lessons and my struggles and my triumphs as a way to, this is my study dummy. I'm the CPR dummy for personal growth. And so it's awesome when I hear that the effects have been positive and someone goes, okay, I saw what you're going through and I resonated enough with what you're talking about that I see that in me. And so I'm going to try to do the thing that I see you doing because I see that how it's benefiting you. And I want some of that. To me, that is how I get inspired. I rarely see advice in a vacuum and go, I'm going to do that. I usually see someone walking the walk and I go, okay, that's impressive. I want to do that. I'm inspired. Joya says, I'm feeling grateful for transitions and the patience and grace to get through them, and so grateful for spring coming to life. Yay, spring! Nika says, I am grateful for friends who listen and give me space to express myself, just like this practice. I love that. That was in our gratitude gathering at noon yesterday. I believe it was noon. We had a nice big group, and one of the people who is there occasionally, he was sharing really kind of stream of consciousness, beautiful, heartfelt thoughts of gratitude. And he kind of roundabout way got to a place of like, and I'm really grateful that I'm not intensely ashamed of how long I talked just now. And I'm so grateful that this is a space where I feel like you have patience for me and it's okay that I am, speaking and taking up space and sharing in this way. And it was, it's so true that, it's a powerful medicine to have friends who listen and give you space to express yourself. Being heard is so significant. And that's one of the things like it's a practice of how to be a good listener. Sometimes being a good listener means sharing your experiences that show that you understand. But that is one of the things that if you're a person that does that frequently, like I used to be, and I still sometimes am, is recognize that some people hear that kind of listening as centering the conversation back on themselves, and it feels like a dismissal. And so, when in doubt, the best way to listen is just to say, thank you for sharing that. That must be hard, or how wonderful for you. Lisa leads sharing circles often where we break up into twos, and the instructions that she gives people is, when you're the listener, your job is to say nothing. Do not give advice. Do not ask a question. Do not just be present and listen. I mean, you can nod, but release any responsibility to speak and just be the listener. That is easier said than done sometimes. Rob says, I'm grateful in transition of letting things go and being open to patience, acceptance, and grace. I love the word grace and patience and acceptance. Thank you, Rob. Juan says, I am grateful for the opportunity to get a Burning Man ticket in the main ticket sale. Oh, is that tomorrow? Thank you. Well, hopefully I will get a ticket. I'm signed up for the sale, so I'm going to try to buy tickets. I know that Juan and others have said, you're not going. Not in that tone, of course, but if I get a ticket, that will be another sign that maybe I should continue to look for ways to attend Burning Man. Daniel says, grateful for my own intoxicant-free shift 1.5 years ago and cheering you on too. Thank you, Daniel. And to you, high five. While I'm doing it, I will high five Natasha and anyone else that is also walking their walk. Gerbot says, grateful for plant medicines. Nature is lit. It's really, I love it. So I am active in an ayahuasca church, and so I've listened to elders speak about plant medicines, quite a bit. And there's, if you're not familiar with, it's so easy to just clump things into the idea of drugs, but these plant medicines are really technologies. I love it when that people often refer to them in that way. These are ancient technologies. And maybe I shouldn't go deep into this, but I'm continually blown away by this story, this narrative, that the belief system of the ayahuasca lineage is that ayahuasca was gifted to humans from plants. Meaning, it wasn't like someone went out and started chewing on a vine and had, oh my gosh, and then they had, a vision. There's no way to have any sort of psychoactive effect from doing anything to an ayahuasca vine or a chacruna shrub. You can burn it, you can drink tea from it, you could smoke it, snort it. It's not going to do anything to you. You could even smoke them together. It's not going to do anything to you. But if you put them in a brew and brew them over with water and then boil it down over a day and create a thick, highly concentrated tea from a huge amount of plant material, the combination of those two plants in that specific way creates DMT, which creates this connection to this plant spirit. And so the story is that multiple peoples in separate parts of the jungles all were given the information of, this is how you do this, from plants. People connected to nature, people who never have TVs, never had, people who looked at the stars and were with plants, and they had a connection to the earth way stronger than we have in the modern world. We can't even comprehend it. Read the book Life Lessons from a Lion Tracker, and they talk a lot about how there is a level of communication with the natural world that we are blind and deaf to because we just are not listening. We don't know how to listen. And so I love that idea that, and you could call that a spiritual belief, because as a scientist, it's probably hard to go that's, I don't know how to make sense of that. That doesn't fit into my worldview. But from a religious idea, that there is technology, healing technology, that Gaia as a whole gave communicated through plants to a sick organism on the planet, humans, a technology that helps to heal a virus of selfishness and growth and disconnection. That's hey, believe in sky god or whatever, but that's a religious belief that works for me. Joyce is on day 167. High five. Nika says, I love plant medicine because they're not habit forming and used in the right context can be life changing in a positive and healing way, especially for trauma therapy. It's pretty powerful stuff. It certainly can be. And, and there's non-plant medicines that can be super healing as well. And part of it is the way that you use them and the integration that you do. Like cannabis is an example of one that is habit forming. It can be habit forming and can be really destructive in your staying connected to your life. And it can be a tool for growth and healing. I also think MDMA, which is not a plant medicine, but I think it can be a powerful tool for therapeutic growth when done with a therapist. Sarah, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Sarah says, I'm grateful for the loving relationship I have with my mom and dad, who are vibrant and healthy, physically 89 and 84, divorced when I was 14 and have remained friends by apology and forgiveness. That's so awesome. Yeah, I'm so grateful for my parents. I really feel blessed by the proximity of my parents and my freedom of time so I can be with them and help them and connect with them so often. My parents are 83 and 81. And I love hanging out with them. And I love it when I can help them. There's things in the modern world that are sometimes difficult to make sense of when you're in your 80s, and I love being able to help them figure out their email problems or their computer problems, and there's things that like my dad is just way better at and so much smarter at than a lot of things in life. So it's nice to get his guidance on things. Gerbot says plants are chemical healing technology. Abso-effing-lutely. Really, I believe that. I mean, there's a combination of technology in the same way and a biological mechanism of the organism of Gaia. Like, oh, you know what I'm grateful for right now? First, I'll say, good morning, Tall Paul. Good to see you. I am so grateful for the book Sapiens. If you have not read that book, and the audiobook is fantastic. The narrator is really good. I'm listening to it for the second time right now. It is the story of humans and the shifts throughout time of, hunter-gatherer to agriculture to industrial to capitalism. And it really specs out some everything makes sense, but sometimes you haven't thought about it in the way like, oh, that's kind of why it's like this way. It's and it also talks about some of the myths of how what we look back at some of these like pre-agriculture, like hunter-gatherers, we think of that as being a hard life, but this book makes the case that hunter-gatherers spent way less time working than we did, and there's other things that they did not have, technologies and quality of life, things that we would consider awesome, but without the comparison to what we have now, they were working less and were better fed than really any society since. And that there is this tendency to think that more better. Anyway, there's so many parts of the book that just make you go, "Oh my gosh, right, right. Oh my gosh, right." And it plays into this idea of, in my mind, of a infection within our consciousness, that of separation and more. And it really has a lot to do with with capitalism, which isn't inherently bad, but it has a growth requirement, and it allows for growth and it does not have a tie to it to sustainability. It also does not have a tie to it to morality. Like, the thing I was just listening to is how capitalism affected our connection to animals. You know, there was a time when we had farms and we ate animals, but it was capitalism that really made us see animals are a piece of an economic puzzle. So if you can extract more value from them by limiting the way that they live, by fattening them up, by keeping them away from their kids, like all the things that we do to industrial farming is all about profit maximization and has nothing to do with quality of life for a sentient being. Now, I say that as someone who eats meat, but it was going through and listening to this was a really, it was helpful, because there's so many things about just the way things are that this book kind of tells you, this is how we got here. This is how this happened. This is the trend. And it also says, like, some of the things that win are not best. Daniel says, yes, Sapiens is amazing. It's so good. And I mean, I'm not saying take it as law. I'm sure there are people that have criticisms of it, but it's in terms of, I would say, of if I had a short list of books that will help give you a sense of the world we live in, it's high on my list. And that isn't in the realm of like self-help or, yeah, it's just so good. I think I'm going to read another book by him next. Good morning, Paul. Paul says, I'm grateful for the technology that allows me to connect with the most grateful person I know from the comfort of my room. John, you are the most grateful person I've ever met. Enjoying the talk. Have a few more minutes before I jump off. Well, so wonderful to connect me in this moment. And what an honor to be labeled in that way. I've been thinking a lot lately as I'm putting together a workshop about gratitude. And the intro to the talk of, like, why am I somebody who you should listen to when it comes to talking about gratitude, is twofold. One is that I have been, heavily committed to a gratitude practice the last 4 years through the Zoom gratitude circles. And two, I studied beneath. I don't know what the right word was, but I had a guru. I had a gratitude guru through my grandfather, who I would describe, as you said, the most grateful person I know. And so learning through being in the presence of a master has helped me as a guide as I continue to practice gratitude. Oh, that reminds me, I need to find the study that talks about how gratitude practice gives you the same boost in happiness as a salary raising. Ooh, Obama said that was one of his favorite books. Thanks, Paul. I didn't realize that Obama mentioned Sapiens. I read Three Body Problem, which is just on Netflix, because Obama recommended it. I was like, wait, the US president is recommending a Chinese science fiction book? Okay, that's interesting. And I'm really glad I read it. And it gave me insight into Obama of, like, okay, I have not heard any other recent president give a list of books that they recommend. Sarah said, I had a difficult experience when I felt overtaken by the energy of painful catharsis of the guy next to me, Special Forces guy in the Gulf War. I became violently sick, not like the early purge. Oh, so you became sick through his. That's very interesting. Padawan, Jamie says, that's the word. And good morning, Jamie. Um, all right. Any more last gratitudes? I'm realizing that as much as I want to stay here, my bladder is saying, you got to go. Is there anything else I was going to share? I mean, one thing that I would say, like, so I have, to you, Sarah, like, there are a lot of different ways that people sit with ayahuasca. And I have sat with probably 6 different lineages and styles, and heard of stories of several others. And there is a difference in the way that it's done, um, and some, yes. But what you're speaking of being around people who are having intense healing, usually what when the one that I am involved with now is, there's a portion of, like, when you are having your healing publicly and you're going through something, it's helpful for everyone. We're all trying to hold space. But if you have an experience that is prolonged, or that is affecting other people's experience too much for too long, then you are brought to another room so you can have a full experience without having to hold it in, and you're not having everyone's experience kind of pulled into yours for an extended period of time. And I think that there's a real, I mean, there's a reason why it is done in groups, and there's a reason because being part of someone else's healing is also part of your medicine. It'd be interesting. I'm interested to speak more about the challenges that it gave you. And the thing that's hard sometimes is to recognize, or to get to a headspace of understanding, like, and gratitude practice is so helpful for me, is there's often a gift even in the thing that you wish didn't happen. Like, sometimes I'll have an experience from, like, oh, I barely felt it tonight. And it's like, oh, I had expectations of what I wanted. And so rather than just be and surrender to this experience, I was frustrated. And that experience that I did not enjoy had a lesson in it about letting go of expectation. And it's, yeah, it's kind of like, the Oracle in Matrix. It tells you what you need to know, but sometimes it isn't the truth. It's something that will help you get to where you need to go next. But so much that I would love to keep sharing. Rob says, grateful for life and being resilient in events of change. Juan says, thank you for sharing your grandfather's teaching. What a beautiful gift to share. I agree. It's really given purpose to my life. And maybe this is perfect timing, because as I'm going into a session this afternoon with some consultants to talk about my direction, maybe this is exactly what I need to remember, is that the vision, the guidance that gives me most direction is, like, how can I be of service to spread Grandpa Caleb's energy and wisdom in the world, his love? And rather than getting caught up in, like, what do I need to do to get so that my reels get more attention, maybe the idea is, how can I refocus my attentions into a direction that feels like I am of a service to Grandpa Caleb's legacy? Ooh, that feels good. Well, with that, wherever you are, give yourself a big old squeeze of gratitude. And if you didn't see, that's Grandpa Caleb right there on my chest. Oh, it's kind of too shiny. There's Grandpa Caleb and his wings. Sorry, shouldn't have done that. But, and as you're holding yourself, imagine we were holding one another here, everyone who has been here today and who has ever showed up in this space of gratitude and connection. Feel us all holding you as we take a deep breath in and squeeze. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all of you love ambassadors, thank you for being here today for our Hug Nation Love Morning. So let us go and be ones who resonate in gratitude and find gratitude, and share our gifts with the world. I love you.